Hello guys, good morning.
Hi, teacher.
Hello, how are you today?
Fine.
Hello. Okay guys, we are not complete. We are like, Dan is not here. Isma, wow, Ismail is not in the class. Okay, Salome and Kevin. Okay, they're absent today, but we're gonna see if they can join the class during today. So let's see what happens. Okay, now today we're gonna finish our expositions. Sebas Pavon, are you ready? Yes, sure. Excellent. Esteban, where are you?
At home.
Come on, I know that.
But
But you didn't appear in my screen.
teacher,
Yes?
Liz me dice que se le fue el wifi.
Okay. Okay. It's okay. No problem. But anyway, he's gonna, well, later you can tell him what we did. Okay?
Okay.
Who else? And the last one. Jose, do you hear me?
Yes, teacher.
I'm sorry. So sorry. Jose, do you listen to me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you're ready for your presentation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Esteban. Okay, Sebas, Jose, and Esteban, the only ones. Excellent. Now, the rest, please turn on your cameras so I can see your faces. So Salome is here. The only one I'm missing, oh, there are three boys, Kevin, Isma, and Dan, the ones that are absent today. Okay, so let's start, guys. Let's start. Okay, any volunteer from the three? No? Nobody. Okay, Sebas, go ahead.
Okay, let me put something because I prepared two videos and I am putting on the screen.
Sure. You can do it right now.
Okay. Wait, teacher. Can you see it, teacher?
Right now, yeah. But please put in the presentation mode, like,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I make the presentation about Fidel Castro dictatorship,
Yeah.
and everything goes begin in the Republic of Cuba in 1902 and to 1959, and it started with Fulgencio Batista, that he was the president of in that moment of Cuba, and he was like a no, sorry, the president was Gerardo Machado, and he was like the I don't know how to say it, but the principal of the military dictatorship since 1925.
Mhm.
And for the next 2 decades, Batista will be the almost complete dominant in the political life in that moment in Cuba, and that the Cuban Revolution is the main result of the left-wing Cuban revolutionary movement. And in that time, the movement that brought about the fall of the dictator Fulgencio Batista was coming from the leader, from the guerrilla army leader that was Fidel Castro in that moment. And since the revolutionary has remained, it has accomplished the power, and it is considered as the period between the uprising against Batista and in the present day. Also, the Cuban Revolution has represented an important event in the history of America because it has been the first and the most successful of several left-wing revolutions. And this took place in many countries of the continent, and also has, despite an enormous amount of adversity between governments and guerrilla leaders as well. The regime result from the revolution is considered as the organization like Amnesty International as the authoritarian and restrictive. Also, the government in the country has, as I said, has very adversities with another countries, and that. Also, the United States has maintained an economic embargo on the island since 1960s, and this policy is considered as the economic blockade because uh, Cuba is like depending on is depending of United States and also by the General Assembly of the international body. The United States continued to justify its policy, putting the existence of numerous complaints of the human rights violation on the island. Also, both the U.S. persist on unilateral sanctions against Cuba about because of what they have been doing for all the revolutions on the people that live in Cuba. And here I put some data about Fidel Castro, some pros and cons from the people that he managed. And the pros are he overthrew a brutal dictatorship that murdered more than 20,000 Cubans and tortured many more. Also, he fought against the US imperialists. He sent missions of Cuban doctors to other countries to help them as a humanitarian aid and also for the descolonization. As well, it is also the eternal dictator Castro who completely eliminated illiteracy just 2 years after coming to the power. Also, he made a successful educational reform for all the people in Cuba who starts having a good education. and it take for a result of Cuba moving from the fifth place in 1960 to the first in 2007. And the cons about him are that Cuba suffered an enormous loss of GDP in 1990s due to the collapse of the URSS and the enormous sanctions that the United States imposed over them. Also, the LGBT rights were persecuted. However, Castro recognized that it was a mistake from his part in 1979, and also that 1.5 million of Cubans, mostly appear from the class and left to another country about the socialism. And that's it. And then I have the two videos.
Continue.
They're here.
Come on, guys. Okay, Sebas, do you have the videos right now? Can you share? Or what's going on?
Let me see. Wait. Sorry. There. Yes, no.
Yeah.
In these videos explains more in detail about the dictatorship and some of the life about Fidel Castro.
Born August 13th, 1926, the illegitimate son of a sugarcane planter, Fidel Castro earned respect early on, excelling academically and athletically. Entering college in 1945, he joined one of the many campus intellectual groups that vied for political power at the University of Havana. By the time he earned his degree in 1950, he had already led the Law Students Federation, become a founding member of a new liberal reformist party, and participated in two foreign political uprisings in Colombia and the Dominican Republic. When dictator Fulgencio Batista seized power in Cuba in 1952 and canceled the congressional elections, Fidel organized an insurgency campaign to end Batista's illegitimate reign. After years of guerrilla training, Fidel's vastly outnumbered force defeated Batista's army, sending him into exile in 1959. Fidel Castro was now the Cuban leader and a hero to his people. He was a symbol of hope for the lower classes, but he would soon become a threat in the eyes of the United States, a country with political and economic interests in Cuba. Tensions came to a head during President John F. Kennedy's administration. The CIA-backed Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961 failed, but the most precarious situation involving Fidel was the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, when the Soviet Union transported nuclear missiles to Cuba, arming them in silos within striking distance of the United States.
This willingness of a very small country to take on the United States was pretty dramatic, and it led to arguably the most dangerous moment in world history, where we almost went to war over Cuba.
Regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response from the Soviet Union.
Relations between the U.S. and Cuba deteriorated, resulting in an embargo and an end of diplomatic relations by 1963. By this time, Fidel had declared Cuba an official socialist state, seizing foreign assets and redistributing farmland. He took great pride in establishing a reputation for the small island, changing the world's view that it was merely an American colony. At the same time, he was careful to not appear as a puppet of the Soviet Union. Over time, Fidel successfully deployed thousands of troops to support leftist revolutions in Africa.
He exported revolution of Latin America. Cuban army was sent to Angola, to Mozambique, to Ethiopia, to Yemen. I mean, Cuba, a tiny island which is smaller than Pennsylvania and only has 10 million inhabitants, actually was playing the role of a superpower.
At home, he started a movement to wipe out illiteracy and nationalize the healthcare system to provide free medical care to all Cubans. Despite any progress he claimed, Fidel remained a dictator, wielding absolute power over all Cubans. This power would be put into question with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. No longer the recipient of Soviet aid, his country felt the wrath of economic collapse and food shortages. As a result, Cubans began fleeing to the southern United States by the thousands, seeking refuge from a repressive government. His influence expanded to other Latin American countries who aligned themselves with Fidel's anti-American views.
And then this other thing that gave him a lot of staying power is the David and Goliath story, right? How such a tiny island led by this charismatic figure was able to withstand the most powerful nation in the history of the planet.
In 2006, he temporarily handed over power to his brother Raul while recovering from an illness, leading to speculations that he was seriously ill. In February 2008, he announced he would not return to office.
So that's one of the videos, and I have another one right here. Here. And that's it for the presentation about Fidel Castro and its dictatorship.
I want to okay, I think okay, the task was to find a shock episode in a Latin American country that produced to implement a new way, like no like socialism, but the other side, like new capitalism. So, but the idea, I think it's is there kind of. I don't find it like very clear. But I have some questions, Sebastian. Okay. The first thing, tell us a little bit more. What happened during Fulgencio Batista's period? He was a dictator, and Fidel Castro like stopped that dictatorship and sent put away that that image, that person that that represented the dictatorship until that time. What happened before the revolution? What was the situation of Cuba before? Because there should be a reason why Castro took the control of the country. Can you give us a little bit more of information? What happened before?
In the period of Fulgencio Batista, it was, as you said, it was a dictator, and and Fidel Castro wants to achieve the power in to be a leader and leader in Cuba, and that is the main reason about that's why Fidel Castro took the power and started his revolution movement to enter to the power.
Oh, so you're telling me it was like a dictatorship, that's all.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I have an idea. I don't know. I want to share with you what happened. Okay. According to a lot of information that we can see, because when you are studying history, you need to have a lot of resources. Uh, During Fulgencio Batista's management, reign, regime, okay, Cuba was like the place where the American citizens used to go to have like free time and entertain themselves with the people that used to live there. Okay, so it was not like a free place, no. Fulgencio let the United States do whatever they want there. It is until now a strategical place, Cuba. So that was the main reason why the people used to be like they didn't want anymore that situation. They didn't have the access of basic things, even though they have like luxury things. Rich people started to appear in that period, and they were the owners of lands and hotels and different places. There were a lot of people in poverty. So that difference, and with the US control inside of the island, the people said, okay. And that's why the revolution there was so successful. That's the main reason. Um, so if we contrast both things, we have like the opposite of what we've seen in the other cases of your classmates. But anyway, when you have a revolution, you have like a shock in the citizens. That's the part that I try to understand from the exposition. Um, Another thing, what else? I think it's pretty clear, the information. Um, And I like that you presented like both sides, not only one, both sides. This is very important because we have like one idea, and with this type of pros and cons, we have like, oh, we open our mind. So I like that fact. And I think it was good, Sebas. Thank you so much. Any
Thank you,
question, by the
teacher.
way? No, guys, you, to your classmate, I see most of you don't have your camera on.
Yes, teacher, I did turn off my camera because I listened Sebas like a robot.
I hope you're not doing another subject task.
No.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, Sebas, thank you. Thank you for your exposition. Very good.
Thank you,
Let's
teacher.
go to Jose.
Ya. A ver. Ya, se ve.
Okay, let's wait a minute. Yep.
Espérame un ratito que se trabó. Ya. Sí se puede ver.
Yes. Guys, do you see it?
Yes.
Excellent. Go ahead,
Okay,
Jose.
so
Just speak
I'm
a little bit.
gonna
Sorry?
um okay, so I'm gonna talk about Hitler's mandatory or Hitler rule.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 1993, Hitler comes out to power and turns Germany into a dictatorship. But before that, Germany was a republic, as we know, since 1999, since 1919. But after the World War One, Germany just stayed in like a crisis because he acquired like um, a debt that he could never pay. So Germany goes through an economic crisis, and he couldn't like pay this debt that was established in the Versailles Peace Agreement. After this political and economical crisis, there was an emergence of the NCDAP, which was the National Socialist German and Workers' Party, which were launched in 1920s that were a small political party where Hitler was their mandatory, or because he was like the leader of this political group, because he was talented with the speaking task, or kind of.
Mm-hmm. He was, Jose, are you there? Guys, do you listen to me?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, teacher.
I
Jose?
think that Jose murió.
Oh my God. Jose, are you there?
F.
No. Oh my God.
Sí, se murió.
Se ha ido. Pero yo sí estoy vivo.
Esteban, excellent. A volunteer for me. Thank you so much.
Ya le van a hacer llorar a la teacher, vean.
Oh God. It can be.
A ver, hasta que revive nuestro amigo.
Okay, go ahead, Esteban. Oh, okay. By the way, Esteban, why you never appear on my screen?
Oh, because I am using my phone right now.
And the rest of the classes? I
don't
haven't
know.
seen your face since the day we finished classes in the school.
Nosotros tampoco, teacher, no importa.
Really?
Okay. A ver.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, let's begin. Okay, so in a nutshell, the Cuban Missile Crisis was a conflict between Cuba, the Soviet Union, and the USA due to the find of several Soviet missiles in the Cuban territory. It began in October 16, 1962, and ended in October 28, 1962. Okay, so the context. The Cold War was already 15 years old from having started. There was a tension because of the threat of the usage of long-range weapons by both nations, the Soviet Union and the USA. So here's a small note. Communist revolutions in Latin America led to the rise of several communist governments and Soviet Union allies, and Cuba was one of them.
Okay, wait a minute there. Can you go back, please? Let me read it again. Can you go back? Jesus, Jose is here right now. Give me a second, Esteban. Jose? Because Jose is joining us. Jose? No. Okay, communist revolutions in Latin America led to the rise of several.
Teacher, sorry, my internet is just.
Yeah. Okay, Jose. It's okay. We continue with Esteban. Let's see if we
Yeah,
can
okay.
have your presentation. Otherwise, you can send to my email.
I already sent you the presentation, I think,
Yeah. Okay.
but
Yeah.
I send you
Let's
again.
see if we can do your presentation. Okay. Yeah. Continue, Esteban.
Okay. Okay, so these are the United States actions. Okay, so like the main points of this country. John F. Kennedy was ahead of the US responses. He decided that the presence of nuclear missiles in Cuba was unacceptable and a potential threat to the country. He sent the US Navy to isolate Cuba from the rest of the world, and it will stop receiving Soviet missiles. On October 27, after the shutdown of a spy airplane, they moved invasion forces down to Florida to be prepared for a military conflict. So now Cuba actions. The Cuban government was at first denied the presence of the missiles on the island. After the block from the US, they portrayed the actions taken by Kennedy as an abuse to their sovereignty. On October 24, Soviet ships neared the line between the US Navy. The US Navy had established as a block. On October 27, an American reconnaissance plane was shot down over Cuba. And now the Soviet Union actions. They were sending long-range missiles to Cuba by Soviet ships as a response to the presence of American missiles in Turkey. They didn't answer to any of the United States claims about the missiles. After being reported that the US Navy blocked Cuba, they sent their ships to the line. After the shutdown of the spy plane on October 27, Nikita Khrushchev, the Soviet premier, started negotiations with Kennedy. So this is how it ended. It turns out that from October 24, Khrushchev and Kennedy were negotiating the situations by letters. First, the Soviet Union offered to remove the missiles from the island if the United States agreed in not invading Cuba. On October 27, Khrushchev sent a second letter saying that the Soviet Union will dismantle its missiles and take them away from Cuba if the United States did the same, but from Turkey. At the end, the United States agreed with the terms of the first letter, and the message was sent to the Soviet embassy in Washington, ending the crisis on October 28, 1962. So these are like the main threats that this conflict led or could have led to. First, a third world war could have started, since many countries have any sort of relationship either with the Soviet Union or the United States. Millions of deaths due to the power and range of the Soviet and American nuclear weapons could have happened. A military conflict if Cuba was invaded, it could also happen. And an economic depression when two influential nations like the Soviet Union and the USA are in conflict. Yes, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I want you a little explanation of where do you find here the shock in this part of the Cuban Revolution. In which part you can explain the shock doctrine that we were talking about like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because for me it's not really clear. So if you can explain a little bit, Esteban, it could be very useful.
Like, what do you mean with shock?
Sorry?
What do you mean with shock?
Do you remember that the shock doctrine is when, for example, you give orders, or you and let me try to explain a little bit easier. For example, when the people is in shock, like today, I think Ecuador is in this period right now, or it was in the, like in at the beginning of this government. Yeah, people was in shock because different things happened in a different way. So in that time, the government could accomplish different mandates, different laws that were not so good for the poor, for the middle and poor people, and but people could not have a way to respond. They were in shock because of the whole situation. They could not say, okay, stop, or let's go, let's do something. They just accept it. So when you're in shock, everything that someone else is doing or is telling you, you accept it. No rejections. So where can we find it in the exposition that you finished?
There was at the moment when the tensions between the Soviet Union and the United States became more tense. I don't know, like difficult, because there was a threat of having a third world war, and they were using nuclear weapons, and that's very dangerous. That was going to be like more, like there was going to be more deaths, than probably more than in the Second World War.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yes, yes.
I think um, when we're talking about this shock is about the population, so I don't see it like it's not obvious here. But I appreciate the intention of the presentation. I like that you took one specific event from the history and you brought to the class. It's good. But it's not what I asked you to do. So I wanted more, Esteban. A little bit more from you, but it's okay. I mean, the next time, Esteban. Okay? So thank you so much. I don't know if Jose is here. We have 1 minute. We don't have enough time. Jose, do you think you can? Okay, can you present your investigation the next class? Let's try.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's try our last try, because we don't know we are going to succeed in that. So guys, thank you so much.
Sorry, because my internet was.
Yeah, I know
trash.
that. That's why. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We see the next class, and we are going to start a new topic. So see you guys. Have a nice weekend, and
Thanks, teacher.
check the platform to see if you have homework from history. Okay? Bye bye, guys. See you.
Teacher.
Yes?
So I presented my presentation on the next class.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's try, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So bye bye, guys. See you in the next class.
Bye,
Bye, teacher. Bye.
Bye.